Hey, Todd Hampson here, and I know you're used to hearing me talk about Bible prophecy and eschatology, but today I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to talk about apologetics or evidences for the Christian faith, kind of one main topic related to that. And so we're going to talk about science and the Bible, just as a broad overview, because the notion in most circles is that science and the Bible are at odds, and honestly, nothing could be further from the truth. But first, let me just share a little bit of my testimony. Just a little part of it is that I grew up not believing in God. I grew up unchurched, and I thought that the Bible was a book of fairy tales, and God was just an invention that people used in ancient times to control people and say that there's a God that was going to judge you and that kind of thing. Uh, but as I entered the eighth grade, at the age of 13, I started having these really big questions. Like, when I was a kid, I remember seeing a cartoon about a missile going up into space and shooting way out into space and then hitting some boards, like a ceiling that was there. And as a kid, it didn't register that, oh, there's more beyond that. So when you become a teenager and you start to think about the bigger things of life, I started to wrestle with these kind of questions, like what's beyond those boards that I saw in that cartoon? Is there a God? All these big questions. So, but I honestly, even at a young age, I bought into the whole evolutionary mindset and that we were here by accident, that there's no God, that there's really no purpose to anything. Which, man, you talk about a hopeless worldview. That's what secularism and naturalism teach by necessity. But anyway, that was what led me to really start asking the big questions. One of the key things that made me trust the Bible was fulfilled Bible prophecy. And then I also started to study, even at a young age, through my teen years, even a deep dive in the Bible and science, or Christian apologetics, or evidences for the Christian faith. Like evidence is about, how can we trust the manuscripts that we have, all the way to, is there evidence for creation over evolution? So that's just a little bit of my backstory. It's in my DNA. It's who I am. Um, I was a skeptic in the true meaning of the word. I really wanted to know what truth was. So that kept me from having preconceived notions, or at least too many of them. And that allowed me to really look at the evidence honestly. But that's what I'm going to talk about today. The culture says the Bible and science are at odds. Nothing could be further from the truth. As I mentioned, actually, the book of Job has a ton of scientific facts that are in it that still hold true today, and that were discovered and kind of categorized, centuries later, thousands of years later, actually. And if you compare that with other ancient works of the same time period, the other ancient religious works were saying crazy things like the earth is flat and it's on the back of elephants, goofy stuff like that. So, but the Bible's not a scientific textbook. Obviously, it doesn't have current terms that we use in our modern era. Those things didn't even begin to come into play until the Age of Enlightenment, or the modern times, when things were categorized and the scientific method came about and that kind of thing. But anyway, I just want to look at those two things for a minute, because if you've never thought about this before, I want you to think about it. Naturalism is a religion. Naturalists try to paint biblical Christianity as a faith, but naturalism is itself a faith. It has many presuppositions. It comes to the evidence denying the possibility that there could be a God, denying the possibility of anything supernatural. So it comes with preconceived notions. And another thing with naturalism and evolution is um, we assume that there's a complete agreement within that camp, and there's not. There's infighting like crazy. From the nature of evolution to what evidence points to, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, and we'll talk about that in another video. Like, is there actually any evidence at all for evolution? The answer is no. There's just a quick overview. There's never been a single missing link found. They talk about, is there, where's the missing link, or can we find the missing link? There's nothing but missing links, billions of missing links between different species of animals. Everything in the middle has to be fabricated. Every so-called ape man, or in between, ape man, or what they call the missing link, has been proven to be an outright hoax, a mistake, or in one case, they found the tooth of a rare pig over here, and like 12 feet over here, they found another bone and then a third bone, and they kind of pieced that together and kind of made the leap that that's a missing link. So all that to say, it's not settled. It's there. It cannot be repeated. Think about this. Even Carl Sagan, who's probably one of the most famous atheists of our era, who, in terms of pop culture, he had a show called Cosmos. He used to say in every show, the cosmos is all there is, or ever was, or ever will be. That is a dogma. That's a statement of faith. That is not science. That's not repeatable. Spontaneous life has been disproven back in the scientific age started. So there's never been an example where evolution has been shown to be true in any sense of a scientific meaning. It can't be repeated. It can't be witnessed. It can't be categorized. It's all based on theory. But it's taught as fact in public schools, in universities, on TV. It's the worldview behind any sci-fi movie. It's kind of like just accepted as the religion of the day, so to speak. And it is a religion. It is a belief system. You have to take that by faith. To say there is no God, there is no supernatural creation. You deny things that we see in concrete science, things that we can see. We can see evidence for design in everything. We can see evidence for, there's a concept called irreducible complexity. Take your eye, for example. Your eye cannot function without multiple things happening at the same time. How would something like that evolve? Before molecular biology, before we had microscopes that could see into cells and into molecules, or into cells, into cells, people taught that, the cell's a pretty simple thing. Surely if you throw a few composites together and hit it with some light or some type of energy, we can spark life to happening. That was the thought. That's how it's thought that life began. Lightning hit a bunch of stuff in a mud puddle and it became a one-celled amoeba. Well, now that we can see into a cell, every single cell is like a giant New York City going on with all kinds of moving parts and things happening. There's little machines in there that literally have propellers on them. All kinds of things that we know in modern times because of molecular cell biology shows the incredible complexity in even the most simple cell that there is in terms of biology. So all that to say, just the point I'm trying to make is the Bible is not anti-science. Everywhere that it mentions something scientific, it holds up. It is actually accurate. Like I said, there's several things in the book of Job. Now that doesn't mean the Bible doesn't use poetic language. Like I said, it's not a science book. It's not meant to teach biology in a college setting. It uses poetic language. It talks about the four corners of the earth, which is really just talking about the four directions: north, south, east, and west. It talks about God protecting his people under his wing like a mother hen. Obviously, God doesn't have wings. It's poetic language. But where it clearly speaks about things that are scientific, it is actually very accurate. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people also think that it was the skeptics that moved science along, and it's not true. Here's just a few scientists over the years who were all believers, all believed in a literal creation, that God created us. Kepler, Galileo, Boyle, Joule, Newton, Faraday, Kelvin, and a whole bunch of others. Louis Pasteur, tons of Christians in that age of enlightenment who did their science based on the fact that God is a God of order and creation and design, and that's how they discovered things. And just to make a point on how secularism and naturalism is the default position of the colleges and all the governing bodies of things that want to teach kids and teach people about science. My good friend Jeff Kinley wrote a book, a biography about a gentleman by the name of Dr. Raymond Damadian, and he was the creator of the MRI. And he had two other partners that helped him develop it, but he was really the main guy behind it. Both of the other partners won the Nobel Peace Prize, but he didn't because, and the reason was because he believed in a literal 6-day creation. Let me see if I can read this excerpt for you. It says, yeah, the Nobel, I'm sorry, not the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Prize for Science. So the Nobel Prize for Science was given to two other guys that worked with him, but he was the main guy inventing it. But he was not awarded the Nobel Peace Prize simply because he believed in a literal creation, that God literally created the things that we see. So because of that, he had to forfeit winning that prize. But I believe, and he's passed, he's with the Lord now. I believe he's winning a huge prize right now as he's standing before the Lord. But anyway, all that to say, again, I know there's a lot of different angles and a lot of different layers I packed in here. The main point I'm trying to get across is that naturalism and evolution and anything in the line of anti-Bible, anti-God in terms of where we came from, the origins of everything and how things work, is a faith system. It is a belief system. It comes to that with presuppositions. It doesn't come to it as a genuine skeptic and say, let's look at what the evidence says. All the evidence says somebody designed us. You can look at it. The simplest thing I've ever heard was Joe Gibbs, the former head coach of the Washington Redskins during the 80s. Great Christian dude. He talked about his testimony one time, and he said, he said, I'm not a real smart guy. I'm not a scientist, but I look at my watch, and he had like an old school traditional watch with the moving parts. And he said, I know this watch did not happen by accident. There had to be someone behind it who designed this watch, who put the pieces together for a specific purpose. You and I can use common sense to know the same thing. Even if you haven't figured out all the details yet, you and I know intuitively that we were designed, that this world was designed. The earth is placed in the perfect place for life. It's tilted at the perfect place to have 4 seasons. Just so many things about this, and we'll do other videos on this, but so many things about the earth and the universe and us as people are so clearly designed that you can't deny it. If you slow down and think about it, there's an old joke where that has scientists who are scaling the mountain of science and really doing their best to look at evidence objectively and come to conclusions. And they're climbing this mountain. They finally get to the peak of the mountain and they figure it out. And they get to the top, and there's already a theologian sitting up there, and he says, "What took y'all so long?" If we let the real evidence lead us to truth, it's going to point to a creator. It's going to point to a designer. It's going to point to someone who's created us with purpose, with morals, with a difference between right and wrong. Think about that. If someone believes in just complete naturalism, that we're here by accident, with no ultimate purpose, no ultimate reason for being here, then why is there morality? Why do we have a sense of right and wrong? Even if we differ on what is right and what is wrong, why do people have an innate sense of right and wrong? Why do we think about the future? Why do we think about the past? Animals don't think about the future or the past. My dog just wants to know, hey, can I get a snack right now? My dog has never contemplated, where did I come from? Did somebody create us? Or where am I going? Or what are my morals? What's right and wrong? That is distinctly human because we are created in the image of God. And I'm so passionate about this because it does break down walls to let people come to Christ. But also, I think there's a lot of believers out here who need their faith strengthened to know that the Bible is accurate, to know it's not anti-science, and to know it's very clear that we have a creator. We have a creator who designed us with purpose, who designed us to be able to love, to appreciate beauty, to know right from wrong, and to choose him. We have a free will to choose the Lord. And as he draws us, we need to respond to that. So anyway, I could go on, and we'll do more videos in this vein, but more specific. Like we're going to have some videos that I'm going to do that ask specific questions like, is there evidence for evolution? Or what does the fossil record tell us? What dating methods are the most reliable? So We're not pivoting and switching gears and going all apologetics and no prophecy. I just think it's time I mix in some apologetics with the Bible prophecy because the two go hand in hand. Again, my personal testimony is that fulfilled prophecy was the evidence that made me consider the claims of Christ. And it's also the thing that gave me a love and a passion for eschatology or yet unfulfilled Bible prophecy. So that's a lot of threw at you. More to come. Talk to you soon. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and send this to people who you want to hear it. Loved ones maybe who have never considered that there's logical, concrete reasons to believe in biblical Christianity. Talk to you soon. Take care.